When I was about 8 years old, I lived on a massive ranch. It had a huge mansion on it. We didn't live in the mansion, and my parents always told me, my brother, and my sister that there was only one place that we were allowed to visit in that mansion. Come through the back door and into the kitchen. Why? Because Miss Tessie, the cook, always had chocolate chip brownies for us there. One week, an important businessman and his son were staying in the mansion. While I was getting the brownies from Miss Tessie, this kid walks in and invites me to come hang with him on the second floor. In all the years I'd been there, I'd never been to the second floor, so of course I went. While I was there, I saw that important businessman, this kid's dad. And later that night, my dad asks me if I had been in the mansion that day. Well, yes, of course I answered. I got brownies from Miss Tessie. He asked me where the businessman might have seen me there. And I said, well, the kitchen, of course. I lied. Hey, I knew that I'd have gotten in trouble if I'd have said on the second floor. However, in the moment those words left my mouth, I was pretty sure that I was going to burn forever for lying. I just couldn't tell the truth. I felt guilty. Look, I'm not proud of this story, but I'm guessing that you can probably relate. Let's do a quick poll. Click the raise your hand button. If you have ever lied in your lifetime, be honest, click that button. Show us everybody has. And I'm guessing that we've been all called out for our lies before too. And I want you to check out a moment from a show that you guys are probably familiar with, Stranger Things. Check this video clip out right here.
Mike! Phone! Okay. Hello?
It's 9:32. Where are you?
Sorry, I was just about to call. I can't see you today.
What? Why not?
It's my Nana. She's very sick.
But Hop said that your Nana was okay, that it was a false alarm.
Yeah, that's what we thought it was at first, but then she took a real turn for the worse.
Oh.
Yeah. We think she might die.
What? Mom, get off the phone! How many times? Did Nana call? No, Mom, just get off the phone!
Sorry about that.
Is that your mom?
Yeah, she's so upset she's making no sense because we have to go to the nursing home to see Nana.
You can come over after?
No, I mean, I just think I need to be alone today with my feelings.
Do you lie?
What? No, friends don't lie. What, Mom? My mom's calling me. Better go. Talk to you tomorrow. Miss you already. Bye.
Now, I want you to look at the bottom of your screens. We've got the polls working, and we've asked a question here. What would you do if you got caught in a lie like Mike did when he lied to Elle here? Would you stick with your original story? No matter what, stick to the story. Would you make up a brand new story and hope this one works now? Or would you tell the truth because, let's be real, you're terrible at lying? There are lies and there's truth. But have you noticed that it's not always easy to tell the difference between the two? I mean, thanks to the internet today, we have so much information at our fingertips. But did you know that not all that information is truthful? I'm guessing you probably figured that out, especially during the coronavirus times. I'm curious how many of you could guess a real headline from fake news. I'm going to read some headlines here, and if you think it's fake, I just want you to put F in the chat. If you think the headline is real, I want you to put R in the chat. Got it? And here we go. First, bear breaks into car and drives down a hill in Colorado. Real or fake? Put it in the chat. It's real. How about this one? A Boeing CEO admits company made mistake by including automatic self-destruct on all 737 MAX planes. Fake. How about this? Sony reveals PlayStation 5 will feature fully functioning breakfast sandwich maker. You and I both know that if anybody's going to do that, it's going to be Xbox. That's fake. What about this? Family making funeral plans for relatives, shocked when he shows up at the barbecue. What? That's real. Of course, these headlines don't have any real impact on our lives, but it is important for us to consider this. In our world where we read a lot of really bad information, what impact do you think that it has on our relationship with the actual truth? It definitely can hurt our ability to trust anything as being true. For the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about who Jesus is, and so far we've said Jesus is God. We've also said that Jesus is Savior. But today, we're talking about a third thing. Jesus is truth. But to some people, this one can be a little offensive. So what then? Why does it matter to us? Why does it matter to God? Hey, grab your Bibles. Today we're going to be in the book of John, specifically John chapter 18, verses 28 through 38. I'm going to give you a few seconds to get there. And the reality is, a lot of people don't really believe that truth matters. And there are even some people who say that truth doesn't exist. They say there is no way to know if anything is always true for everyone. Maybe you know someone like that. Maybe you felt that way before. This isn't a new debate. In fact, a man named Pontius Pilate seems to have engaged Jesus in this very debate just before Jesus was sentenced to death for crimes that he didn't commit. Now, when all of this stuff started, we encouraged each of you to participate in something called the New Testament Challenge. Part of that was using an app called Streetlights. It's an audio Bible like nothing you've ever heard. Today, we're going to let them read our passage for us. You can find the New Testament Challenge and the download for the app on our website. Today, you can follow along in John chapter 18, verses 28 through 38.
Jesus' trial before Pilate. Jesus' trial before Caiaphas ended in the early hours of the morning. Then he was taken to the headquarters of the Roman governor. His accusers didn't go inside because it would defile them, and they wouldn't be allowed to celebrate the Passover. So Pilate, the governor, went out to them and asked,
"What is your charge against this man?"
We wouldn't have handed him over to you if he weren't a criminal.
They retorted.
"Then take him away and judge him by your own law."
Pilate told them.
Only the Romans are permitted to execute someone.
The Jewish leaders replied. This fulfilled Jesus' prediction about the way he would die. Then Pilate went back into his headquarters and called for Jesus to be brought to him.
"Are you the king of the Jews?"
He asked him. Jesus replied,
"Is this your own question, or did others tell you about me?"
"Am I a Jew?"
Pilate retorted.
"Your own people and their leading priests brought you to me for trial. Why? What have you done?"
Jesus answered,
"My kingdom is not an earthly kingdom. If it were, my followers would fight to keep me from being handed over to the Jewish leaders. But my kingdom is not of this world."
Pilate said,
"So you are a king?"
Jesus responded,
"You say I am a king. Actually, I was born and came into the world to testify to the truth. All who love the truth recognize that what I say is true."
"What is truth?"
Pilate asked. Then he went out again to the people and told them,
"He is not guilty of any crime."
All right, so here's a quick recap. You guys know that I love context. 2 weeks ago, we learned that while Jesus is teaching, he clearly makes a claim that he is God. And that outraged the religious leaders. They wanted him executed. There was an issue with this, though. Even though Jewish law allowed for the death penalty for this kind of blasphemy, legally, in Roman law, legally, they weren't allowed to sentence anyone to death. They needed the Roman government to do that. So the religious leaders took Jesus to the Roman government in place over them. They took him to a man who served similar to like a governor there. And his name was Pontius Pilate. But Pilate wasn't convinced that Jesus had done anything worthy of death. Pilate questions Jesus as he tries to figure out what's going on and what he should do about it. Now, here's some of the reasons for the questions that you heard Pilate ask. He asked Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Now, if Jesus is claiming to be a king, Pilate has a problem because their government already has a king. Anyone claiming the right to rule is in direct opposition to Caesar and the Roman government, and that would be bad. And basically, Jesus would be labeled as a traitor and could be executed. Well, first, Jesus responds with a question. Hey, are you asking this, or did they tell you to ask? And then Jesus basically says, well, kind of. he has a kingdom, but he says it's not an earthly kingdom. And Pilate's confused. I mean, he just wants to know if Jesus' goal is to overthrow the king. But Jesus says that his goal is something very different, to testify to the truth. What is truth? Pilate responds. Now, there's some debate over what Pilate means by this. Was he sincerely asking about truth? Was he suggesting that there's no such thing as truth? Or was he talking about Jesus' trial and impending death, suggesting that whether or not Jesus was truly guilty didn't really matter? He's probably going to be killed anyway. I'm not really sure, but his question is still a good one. What is truth? It's not always easy to know what is true, but in this case, Jesus makes it clear. He is truth, and he came to show the world what truth is. I told you earlier that what I had to say about Jesus today might be offensive. This claim is what makes Jesus different, but it's also what helped get him killed. Jesus claimed that he is the truth, and those of us who trust in him still believe it today. That truth isn't just an idea, truth is a person. We're going to jump a few chapters in our Bible to John chapter 14. You see, this isn't the first time Jesus made this claim. Just a few chapters earlier, Jesus says something similar to his disciples. Listen as Streetlights reads for us verses 1 through 7 of John 14.
Chapter 14. Jesus, the way to the Father.
Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me. There is more than enough room in my Father's home. If this were not so, would I have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you? When everything is ready, I will come and get you, so that you will always be with me where I am. And you know the way to where I am going.
No, we don't know, Lord,
Thomas said.
We have no idea where you are going, so how can we know the way?
Jesus told him,
I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me. If you had really known me, you would know who my Father is. From now on, you do know him and have seen him.
Okay, Jesus' friends were upset because Jesus was starting to anger people wherever they went. And his bold and controversial teachings were putting their lives at risk. To comfort them and let them know that he had a plan, no matter what happened next, Jesus said that he'd be going to his Father's house to prepare a place for them, a place where God is and where they're invited to be too. Jesus' friends seemed a little stumped, though. Since they don't know exactly where Jesus is going, how can they possibly know how to get there? What's the address? Can we look him up? Google Maps? Can they have directions? What time should they get there? Look, Jesus assures them that they do actually know the way because they know him. He's the one true way to God. Why was Jesus' claim controversial? Jesus made a pretty bold claim in John 14:6. He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Jesus' claim here still makes people uncomfortable. The question is, why do you think Jesus' claim is so controversial? Truthfully, I can think of a lot of reasons why someone might dislike that statement. I mean, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Or that no one comes to God except through Jesus. Think of the objections you have heard, or maybe objections that you've had about Jesus being the only way. It's definitely understandable, and it's even expected. We've talked before about how we all have questions when it comes to our faith. And we won't always be able to find great answers for those questions. Look, Jesus reminded them who he was, the truth. But he seemed to give them plenty of time and space to let it sink in. And I think he does the same for us too. Here's what I find interesting about how Jesus talks about the truth. Jesus didn't say, here is a way, here's some truth and a life. You will come to the Father if you do these 5 things correctly. Instead, he said, I am the way. Jesus didn't give a textbook filled with all the right answers. He gave us himself and invited us to get to know him. So who is Jesus? I mean, these stories and Jesus' own words make it pretty clear. Jesus is truth. Today you might think, Jesus is truth. What does that mean for me? Why does this matter? There's one more moment from the book of John that I want to look at before we close. John chapter 8, verse 32 says, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." When we know Jesus, we know truth, and his truth sets us free. His truth sets us free from the power of sin and death. It sets us free from believing lies about God, lies about ourselves, and lies about others. His truth sets us free from anger, guilt, shame, fear, brokenness, unforgiveness, or anything else that keeps us captive. Jesus' truth is a truth that sets us free. And there's so much that the truth of Jesus frees us from, whether it's sin we've committed, lies we've believed, or brokenness that's holding us captive. The truth of Jesus can set us free. Today, here's my invitation to you. If Jesus is truth and the true way to God, do you know him? If you don't, maybe today is the day that you want to begin that journey of getting to know him better. If Jesus is truth and the truth sets us free, what do you need to be set free from? Will you let the truth of Jesus set you free?